Hello there. This is now the third day of my confinement here in the house because of the quarantine being imposed by the government and all over the world because of the continuous spread of the COVID-19. And for this episode, the viewers, it is fitting that I discuss the wrongness and the intent lying of the governing body of the Jehovah's Witnesses to their members when it comes to the topic of the instrument of the execution of Christ, which the Christendom called cross, but the Jehovah's Witnesses refer to it as the torture stake of the Christ. I think that this is the most appropriate topic for today because yesterday I have discussed the wrong manner and the wrong doctrine that the governing body has imposed to their members when it comes to the celebration of the memorial of Christ's death. So for our topic, the cross, the Jehovah's Witnesses, after the death of their founder, Charles Taze Russell, during the time of their second president, which is Joseph F. Rutherford, the figure of the instrument for the execution of Christ is one of the main doctrines that Rutherford has changed from the original teaching of Pastor Russell and the rest of Christendom, which uses the cross as a piece of two cross or traversing intersecting pieces of lands. So if you happen to viewed some of the literature, and if you're going to look at it and their website, which is the jw.org, you consider that in their literatures, the illustration of the crucifixion of Christ is an upright stick, which is wherein Christ has a position on it just like this. That upright stick has no transversing piece of timber or log with it, because according to the explanation of the Jehovah's Witnesses, it is the literal meaning of the Greek word is taurus. Yes, they're turning the attention of the listener to the Greek word being used for that execution implement of the Romans. But what is missing on the explanation of the Jehovah's Witnesses regarding the word is taurus, and of course it is a Greek word. What is missing in the explanation is that the Greeks has ruled the known world before the Romans. So before the time of Christ, before Christ walked this earth, the Greeks has already conquered the known world during those times. So the word is taurus is a Greek word. Now, if we may ask, how did the Greeks use that word and the secular literatures that is being available even today? Yes, for the Greek during the times of Alexander, The Greek word Staurus has a meaning of a single piece of stick or log, which when you erected it and dug it on the earth, it will become a post, an implement that is usually used by people during this time as fences or something like that, or whatever purpose that piece of log may serve for them. That is why in those literatures, secular literatures, the Greeks uses the word staurus in singular or in plural settings. So we can deduce from that that the word staurus is referring to a kind of thing, an object. But during the time of the Romans, which is the period wherein our Lord has been impaled in the cross, what is now the popular meaning of the word staurus? If we're going to search for the literatures during those times, the word staurus now has evolved and has assumed a different meaning. It now refers not always to a piece of wood or single piece of timber, but now refers to the procedure or the way the Romans executes their hardened or their most wicked criminals in their empire. So it is not only a piece of wood, but during those times refers to the abstract definition of the execution of the Romans, execution being done by the Romans to their criminals. So by that, the witnesses hide that aspect or evolution of the word staurus to their listeners, because they want to convince us and they want to believe, they want us to believe that the execution or the instrument of Christ's execution is only a piece of log, just one piece of log, without any transversing beam or piece of another log. So that is the case. Even in their own literature, they always portrayed some ancient drawings from the author Justus Lipsius, and they portrayed the cross of the Christ as only one piece of timber, an upright piece of timber wherein the criminal is being affixed to it. You can see that illustrations when you're going to open it, ever you have in your hand the copy of the reference Bible of the Jehovah's Witnesses. On the appendix sections, you can see that work of art of the author Justus Lipsius. But in reality, that particular illustration we're talking about here, is only one of the illustration being drawn by Justus Lipsius in his book, The Cross. In that book, he presented many other illustrations that depicted the cross being used by the Romans with a transversing piece of beam on it, not just one piece of log or timber. So what can we learn from that kind of presentation by the Jehovah's Witnesses? They are misrepresenting the author, Justus Lipsius, by giving us only a selected part of his opinion on that book. In effect, the Jehovah's Witnesses is misquoting the author, Justus Lipsius. They are expert on that kind of misrepresentation and misquotations. They are expert liars. So, now, if we will go back again to historical aspect of this topic, and we're going to search for the art exhibits and the museum, just like in United Kingdom, London, in United Kingdom. There we can find in a museum there the oldest depiction of this thing, the cross. Is it a just one piece of blood, or does it have another traversing piece of blood? Yes, it has a crossed beam on it. That is the oldest depiction of the cross. And that work of art is being dated on the 2nd century of our Common Era. Even in Tel Aviv, if we're going to the museum there, the presentation of the cross is not the cross simplex or the one-piece beam, just like the Jehovah's Witnesses wants us to believe. But it is a piece of wood with a another piece of wood traversing it. So that is the work of art and the testimony of secular literature during those times that our Lord is being executed in the cross. And so, since we are Christians and we want to search the scripture regarding this very important topic, the question is fitting if there is any hint or any verse in the Bible that the cross, or regarding the cross on its original form, the very cross that our Lord was being executed by the Romans. Does it have, or is it only a piece of wood, or does it have another piece of traversing wood on it? Well, the very revealing verse of John chapter 20, verse 25, answered that particular questions that we have on our mind. There, the Apostle Thomas stated to the other apostles and disciples that he will not believe the resurrection of the Lord unless he see with his own eyes the mark or the imprint of the nails and the hands of the Lord. So all the verses uses the plural form nails on that verse. And even the Jehovah's Witnesses uses the plural form for the nails and their newest revision of the New World Translation Bible. But then, that particular verse did not escape the cunning and deceiving way that the governing body is using to their own members and to the unsuspecting listeners from their members the reality or the truth about this topic. Why did I say that? Because unknown to the membership of the Jehovah's Witnesses, their leadership has issued two different versions of their newest Bible. Their newest revision and print of the New Old Translation is different from the one the common Jehovah's Witness in the street or in the Kingdom Hall is using for their learning or their teaching other people. And what is our proof to that? Well, if you're going to click their study Bible, study edition Bible, and their website, which is the electronic version of their Bible, you can see for yourself that the governing body has removed a nail or nails from that version and their electronic version of the Bible. And so you can read there that the word nail appears in the singular form. I was so shocked when I used that verse to my brother-in-law when we are visiting or taking care of our mother-in-law in a hospital when she was still alive and sick at the hospital. When I was discussing this topic to him, that brother-in-law, brother-in-law is a regular pioneer in the province of Nueva Ecija. I was shocked when I use it, when I read it in his gadget, because it only, the word nail appears in the singular form. So this is another deception, cunning way of the governing body to indoctrinate and to continue their misleading representation of the instrument of Christ and the instrument of Christ's execution, which is the cross. And why are they doing this? What is the benefit? And you may ask, what is the benefit by discussing this very topic? Does it affect our salvation? Or does it have any gain or purpose for the Jehovah's Witnesses? Yes, it has. It has a purpose to them. They make their teaching appear that they are the only ones teaching the truth. So they have this penchant for making explanations and teachings which they say from the Bible, but in reality is not, just to make them appear that they are the only one teaching the truth to the people. So that's it. That's the only purpose I can think that they are doing this thing. Just to separate their members from the rest of the Christian denomination all over the world that uses the cross and the original form of this one, which has the transversing figure. So this is but another lie of the governing body. Now, what can we say about this topic? Whenever we discuss a topic from Jehovah's Witnesses, we have proven it once and again that they are lying. So don't be surprised if you see their cross a very different one from the cross we have accustomed to see from other Christian religion. Once again, I want to thank all my subscribers and this channel, and also the other avid viewers of my videos. Please bear with me with my kind of English. I am not a This is not my original language. I just hope that you can understand, that you have understand what I'm saying regarding this very delicate topics and in this very difficult kind of field of discussion. Thank you, and for all those who are not yet subscriber, please subscribe, and don't hesitate to share my videos to other people.